Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Websites for Beginners. In this video, we're going to run through an entire page and translate it with TranslatePress, the free plugin version of TranslatePress. I am JP and I hope that this is going to be a useful video for all you multilinguists, enthusiasts out there. And if you ever run into a case where you need to think of maybe translating the website into a secondary language or a third or a fourth, then TranslatePress is a good choice for that. Let's jump right in and see what we are going to do in this video so you have some idea of the scope, what we are covering here. I'll go to the front end first to show you the page, and it's going to be a single page that we will be translating. This is an intro. It's going to show you what you can do. And then in the other videos, we cover other things like posts, headers, menus, widgets. This one, we have this, is it engagement or a wedding page? And you can see we've got the normal and usual suspects here. What we've got here is a lot of text. We've got some images. We've got some icons, another icon, and then we've got a form over here. It's a one-pager, so we don't need anything extra. We don't need a navigation menu at the top. This is just an announcement that we will send people. But as it be, these two are from different countries, so they want to send it in different languages. Let's say one speaks English and the other one, and that's the only other language that I can confidently translate into, is Afrikaans. So I'll be doing that. So if you don't speak a second language, I know this may be a little bit bewildering, but you may work with people who will provide you with the text, and then you can go ahead and you can just add it in. Let's go back into our administration panel within WordPress, and the first thing we need to do is we need to install TranslatePress. Before that, just to give you an idea of what I'm using, under my themes I'm using Astra theme, and what I've done is I have installed the Astra Starter Sites plugin, and with this I have used that demo page or starter site, this one over here, and this is a free one. You've got others in the agency bundles that are pro versions that you have to pay for with the agency bundle, but this one is a free one. I'll also leave a link to Astra if you want to play around with these free ones and test a little bit the translation, then you can do that. So the link in the description below. Go to plugins and we click on add new. And from the WordPress repository, we're going to install TranslatePress. Go over here and search for TranslatePress. TranslatePress, enter. And here we go. Let's click on Install Now and activate. One of the things you're going to see right from the start is how easy and how quickly it is to set up everything with TranslatePress. I've worked with a lot of multilingual plugins. Some of them are bewildering, to say the least. Some of them, they have a lot of settings that you need to go through. But with TranslatePress, even if you're just shooting in the dark, you're going to see how quickly you can actually do a lot. So here in the plugins, we've got TranslatePress Multilingual and Pro features. We talk a lot about Pro in the other videos, covering all these features. This video, we're strictly sticking to the free version. The idea is now that we go into settings, but let's see exactly where this plugin has been installed within WordPress. So if we go to the navigation menu here on the left sidebar, under settings, you will see it says TranslatePress, and there's a little to indicator telling you some things you need to do. You are not using a permalink, please enable one or install language by GTP addon so that TranslatePress can function properly. Let's do that. As I understand, go to permalinks over here, and then make sure you activate post name and save your changes. And you see TranslatePress is immediately happy. Let's go back to TranslatePress. Display different images based on language. Find out how to translate image sliders from the TranslatePress editor. Just control click, and here you can read all about image translation. We go through this a little bit in this video, but we have a dedicated video only for image translation and why you would like to use that. Let's close this one out. Next thing, default language. The default language, this one is going to be drawn from what is your site's default language. So I have installed WordPress as English United States. I'm going to leave it like that because whatever you are using for your WordPress administration panel, that's going to appear here. But you can switch it. So I can put it on English South Africa. Changing the default language will invalidate existing translations. I don't have existing ones, so I'm not too worried about that. Let's leave it. Then I go to all languages. So currently you see here the top one has changed now to English South Africa. There is the code EN_ZA and then the slug over here. It's English. I have no problem with that. Up next, I'm going to choose my secondary language, and that's going to be Afrikaans over here. Afrikaans, and I'm going to add it. Seeing this, I'm going to change my language. And the reason for that is because I've got two languages coming from South Africa. So the flag that they're going to show me is going to be two South African flags. So let's go and let's put it on English United States. Okay, so our default, our main language is English US, and then Afrikaans is our second one. If you want to add a third one, and you try and do that, let's say Moroccan Arabic, and you want to say add, it's going to tell you to add more than two languages and support for SEO title, description, slug, and more. Check out TranslatePress Pro. So this is what you have to understand. The free version allows you one secondary language. If you want more, you have to get one of those pro add-ons. Native language name. Now, these you can just leave. What this means, select yes if you want to display languages in their native names. Otherwise, languages will be displayed in English. I will leave it for English. But for example, if you are, let's talk about Japanese. If you have Japanese on your site, Japanese won't read the word Japanese in Japanese, right? They will read it as, what is it? Nihongo. I forgot what is Japanese in Japanese. This is what this option will allow you to do. Use a subdirectory for the default language. We're going to leave that as that. And force language in custom links. We're going to leave it as that. All of this. The only part that you will still have to look at is the language switcher down here. Shortcode and the menu item and floating language selection. We cover menus and headers in a separate video. For here, let's save everything that we've done here. And then we go and see what has changed on the front end. So I'm going to click here on TranslatePress again at the top. And you will see, wow. But wait here in the bottom on the right, you will see there is a little tag with English and the American flag next to it. And then if I hover over it, on top of it pops up Afrikaans with the South African flag. So if I want to switch this page now to the Afrikaans version, I click on Afrikaans. But of course, we haven't done anything. It is still in English. So what can we do? Let's put it back on English for the United States. And then from here, we begin our translation. Up here in the WordPress toolbar, you will see Translate Page and Settings. Don't even have to click on Settings. You just click on Translate Page. What do we have now? We have this sidebar here with all the translation options. And here we have the main display. In the sidebar, you also see extra translation features. Those are all the pro add-ons that you can get. Support for 221 extra languages. Yoast SEO support. Translate the title, description, slug for SEO. Publish only when translation is complete. And the rest you can read by yourself. We are interested in the translation. So when we look up here, we see English. So if I click on it, I can choose Afrikaans. We are not surprised. That's how we set it up. If I click on this, you'll see the main display is now the Afrikaans version. We haven't translated anything yet, so it looks exactly the same as English. Let's just put it back on English so you have an idea. Under this, select string to translate. If you click on it, you're going to see all the text appear here in this dropdown. And these .local / are images. So these are the images that we can also change. And what you do, for example, if you want to change Mark and Sally, click on Mark and Sally, and you view it as current user, which is me and you. Over here it says from English, currently Mark and Sally, to Afrikaans. And I'm going to give it a different name and different names so that we can distinguish between the two. We're going to call it Marcus in Marcus and Sandra. Right, so Mark and Sally from English become Marcus and Sandra. And now what we need to do is click on Save Translation. So we've saved it, right? How do we know whether we've saved it or not? Go again up here to English, click on Afrikaans, and there you see Marcus and Sandra. So the rest of the site still needs to be translated. Instead, though, of going back now, I want you to stay on this page because this is where TranslatePress is, in my opinion, ahead in terms of usability than many others. This is so intuitive. You are here on the site. We had previously translated this string. You see the word string? It's a combination of words and letters. We call it a string. It's not string theory, it's string translation. And we had translated Marcus and Sandra. We have put it on Afrikaans here, so this is the one we want to translate it into. If we click here on Select String to Translate, we did Mark and Sally, and now we can go to the next one, Save the Date. And then again, I go here, I'll say Book the Datum. And then say Save Translation. And before I click on that, look here over Save the Date, what is going to happen. Wow, and that was super quick, right? Super quick. Let me show you even quicker. What you are observing on your main display is what has been translated and what still needs to be translated. You can read. Instead of going every time here in the sidebar on the left to the options and selecting the strings that you want to translate, you have this little icon with the pencil inside with a bounding box. And if you click on it, watch, and you will see it selects it over here. So instead of every time having to go and look for something, you can purely just click on it here, and then you can type in the translation. So for this one, I'm going to put it on 28 Augustus, and that's 2017. Let's give them a future date, 2020. And then I'm going to say Save Translation. Look how quickly we had translated that. Very visual, in real time. It gives you that confidence that your translation is happening properly. So we go down. Again here, our story, if I click on it, it selects the string over here. And all I have to type there in Afrikaans is ons verhaal, of ons story. I can say that as well. I want to sound very la-di-da, so I say ons verhaal. Okay, but there's other ways, of course. So I've shown you a number of ways how the translation works. The easier one, if you're going from top to bottom, is you see the options here in the top, previous and next. From the top to the bottom, we had Mark and Sally, save the date, August 28th, and our story. This is where we currently are. After we have saved it, you can just click here on next, and it will load next. But what is this next that it has loaded? This is a very strange one. And there you see the clue, image source. TranslatePress has loaded this image over here. And why on earth would you want to translate this image? The reason you want to do that is maybe this image contains English text, so you want to swap it with another image that contains the secondary language text, in this case Afrikaans. And you can do that by uploading that second image into your media library and pasting the URL over here. And that's why you've got the option here to say Add Media. At this moment, I'm not going to make any changes. I'm going to use exactly the same image. And in the video on images, we cover this. But to show you, if I had that second image, I can click here on Add Media. I can go into my media library, and I can find that alternative image that I want to display. Okay, that is what we will do. You will select it over here. That will be your alternative image. But if your image is not going to be different, you're going to just copy this one up here. So I am triple clicking on it, or you Control A, Command A to select everything, then Control Command C to copy it, come in here, Control Command V and paste it and save the translation. Now we have also locked in this image for the translation. You could have left it empty if you wanted to, but it's a good idea to try and make sure that you translate everything. Click on Next, and now we are at Mark Walker. And what did we say is his name? Marcus Wessels. Call him Marcus Wessels. And save it. Go on to the next one. And here we have some lorem ipsum text. What I'll do is I'm going to copy this because it's lorem ipsum, and I'm going to put the same in Afrikaans, paste it, save the translation, and next. Are you beginning to see what I'm doing here? I'm doing nothing brilliantly spectacular, and that's what makes it so amazing. I'm just going one by one through all of these translations, and I'm slowly changing them to the language I want it to be. Let me continue with this, but I'm not going to let you sit through the whole process. We will make it in a fast forward so we can get to the end. I'm basically done translating the site, but I'm getting here to the bottom where there's still a few more details. And what I've run into here is that the one that I had translated earlier up here for August 28th, I find the same string down here. TranslatePress is smart enough to identify that, hey, that looks like something we have translated before. And when that happens, it gives you this little drop down here, suggestions from translation memory. And it says there's an 80% likelihood that the translation you had used previously, you want to use again. If that is the case, and you see this, and it is the case that it's the same translation, all you need to do is click on this one, and it will use the one that you had previously used. Save it, and we move forward to the next one. So, as I'm getting to the end of this, a few things that I want to point your attention to. There's a few shortcut keys in here. Save translation is Control-Command-S. So I don't have to go up here and click every time. I can just say Control-S, Command-S on my keyboard, and it saves it. And then to move to the next one, you see previous and next, you have next over here, which is Control-Alt or Command-Alt with your right arrow. So let's say Control-Alt, right, and that's how we move. So let me just copy that one. And I paste it here. Remember, then Control-Command-S, Control-Command-Alt, right arrow. And this way, you stay within this field the whole time. You don't need to leave it. You can just Control-S, Control-Alt, right arrow, or Command-S, Command-Alt, right arrow, and keep typing. And that's how you can quickly go through this in no time. Let's say Control-S again, Control-Alt, right arrow. Australia. What is that? Oh, I have to remember 03. Let me think, is it now 136? No, that's 137. Alt 137. There we go. Australia. Control-Command-S, and then Control-Command-Alt, right arrow. We've done that a few times. Again here, I have translated, or I have given translations for images earlier in this document. And because this looks so familiar, what TranslatePress suggests is that, hey, it looks very familiar. Maybe these guys are ones that we've used before. I'm suggesting this could be the same one that you want to use. In this case, it isn't. You don't want to use it. So that's why you will either add a new one here, or you will leave it empty if you don't need the image to change. So I'm going to say we are done here. Save our translation. And then we click here to close the editor. And we are back here in our page. Marcus en Sandra boek die datum 28 Augustus 2020. And you can see you are Afrikaans down here at the bottom because it shows you the little South African flag with Afrikaans. If I hover over it, click on English, takes us back into English. I have to ask you, right? Super easy. Let's look at a few more things that you would want to do here, especially with this language switcher. So go to Translate page up here in the WordPress toolbar and click on Settings. Take us back into the settings. Let's scroll down. Shortcode. This is if you will use the shortcode on your site. Menu item, if you add it into a menu, which we cover in the video on menu and headers. The one we are looking at currently is the floating language selection. You can turn it off if you don't like that option. Save it. I'll open a new instance of our page up here. I go and click Control-Command on it. It opens a new tab and you see the language switcher is gone. Let's bring it back. And then we can choose where to display it. Top right. Let's refresh this. You see it drops down from here. So you can change the location. Flags with full names or just full language names. Save changes. Let's refresh. Now it's only English or Afrikaans. And what else do we have here? Flags with short language names, flags with full language names, short languages, and only flags. I want to give you a PC warning here. PC politically correct. Flags can become a point of irritation. So be careful if you're going flag-only options. In a country like South Africa, where we have so many different cultures and we speak so many different languages, we are bound under this flag. We are very proud of this flag. So I can tell you, putting this flag here for any language in South Africa, no one is going to have a problem with it. But you're going to have regions where people don't like the flag. So think very carefully about that. You don't want to be pushing some agenda in people's face when they come to your website, unless it has an agenda. But for me, I like to go with full language names, and that's where I leave it. The truth is, I really, really love the South African flag. I love that flag so much. I would love to see it all the time. But here is the thing. I also speak English. And which flag are you going to put there? Are you going to put the British flag there? Canadian flag? South African flag? Which flag are you going to put there? Australia, New Zealand? And that is the issue that I kind of have with flags. It's not a serious thing. It's not the end of the world. But it is something that I think you should think of very carefully and make sure that when you do put flags there, make sure it's okay with the people who will be coming to your site and that you won't rub them the wrong way. But people, honestly, translating your site is a very nice way of showing to a big group of your customers that you take them into consideration. If you look at your Google Analytics or whatever analytics you use, you can see where people come from. And from that, you can say, oh, wow, I've actually got like 30-40% of my visitors come from Vietnam. Maybe I should consider putting my webpage in Vietnamese. That brings us also to another concept called automatic translation. Going to just switch this page into English again, because otherwise I don't understand the WordPress toolbar. If we go to Translate page and go to Settings, you'll see the option over here for automatic translation. You can enable it, say yes, and then you have the option of the translation engine that you will be using, Google Translate version 2 or DeepL. We will not go into that in this tutorial. We covered that in the video on automatic translation. Make sure you subscribe to our site, our YouTube channel, so that you can stay ahead with all the videos in this TranslatePress series. And I hope this has shown you how easy you can do translation and create a multilingual site, something that you don't have to be scared of. Go check out the website. Link for TranslatePress is in the description below. Go check out Astra, get one of their starter sites like this one that I had used here, and go practice. Just have a feel for it and see how quickly this can be done. This is JP with Websites for Beginners.